friends, I'm Harshita Garg and I'm just a student like you, and I'm here to make geography easy for you students. And so today we are in the third part of resources and development, that is land as a resource. So let's get started. Land as a resource. So when you think about land, what strikes you? It might be a field, it might be a fallow field or a barren one, and so you have a basic idea of what's land. So what's land as a resource? What are the uses of land? There are numerous uses of land. So land is used for irrigation. Land is also used for scenic beauty, that means it has forests. It's also used for urbanization. Factory and many more. So there are endless uses of land. So the land utilization given in your book is something different. So you might be thinking that it's just the same thing. What is the uses of land? But it's different. How can you utilize the land more efficiently so that it can give you more value? So you can turn on to page number 5. So here it is, land utilization. Okay, so land utilization. So land are used for endless purposes, as I told you. Forest, not for cultivation, that is barren land, and cultivated land, fallow land, net sown area. So I'm going to explain you one by one. First is forests. So forests have a great use of land. As you know, the forest gives us endless things like gum, paper, wood, etc. So forest is an endless resource. Then next come land not used for cultivation. So what can be the uses of land not used for cultivation? It can be barren or wasteland. So you might have seen on roads some lands which are not cultivated, there is garbage kept around. So those are the wastelands. So land not used for cultivation. And put on to non-agricultural uses, like you can put it on to buildings or non-agricultural uses, basically non-agricultural uses. So you see, if the land is not cultivative, then also you can use it like this. Then comes the third part, other uncultivated land, excluding the fallow land. So that means it can be cultivated, but it's not cultivated. So we can use it for various purposes, like for grazing, pasture, and tree crops, and cultivable wasteland. So you see, my handwriting is not so good, so you have to compromise with my handwriting, but I'm going to explain you everything detail by detail. So first thing goes like the permanent pasture. So this land which cannot be used for cultivation, but is not fallow, so it can be used for pastures, and it can be used for grazing by the cattle or the cows, etc. And miscellaneous tree crops, groves, not included in the net sown area. So miscellaneous tree crops can be grown which do not need that good cultivation capacity. Then comes the last one, that is the cultivable wasteland. That means it is left uncultivated for more than 5 agricultural years. Then it might gain the potential to cultivate. So you see, these are the 3 uses of the land which is not fallow but is not cultivable as well. So the fourth thing goes like the fallow land again. So the fallow land is classified into 2. So the land utilization ends here. So now we are going to discuss what are the 2 types of the fallow land. So that is current fallow. So current fallow, left without cultivation for one or less than one agricultural year. So it's not left fallow for 5, 10, 20 years. It's just left fallow for 1 to less than 1 year, less than one agricultural year. So agricultural year is when you can grow crops. So it's left uncultivated for one agricultural year or less than one agricultural year. Then the other type of fallow land is that is left uncultivated for at least 5 years or more than 5 years. So that is known as the other fallow land. Then we are going to go on to the net sown area. Net sown area. So what is the meaning of net? That is an average, or that is currently being used, and sown, on which you have sown some crops and you have just dig up and the crops are there. And area, you all know what's an area. So net sown area. Area sown more than once in an agricultural year is known as net sown area. It's known as the grass cropped areas as well. So it's a type of land that has been sown more than once in one agricultural year. That means plus net sown area is known as gross cropped area. Net sown area plus plus net sown area plus net sown area. That means 2 net sown area are equals to 1 gross cropped area. So I think you've got it. What is a net sown area? Which is cultivated more than once in a year, in agricultural year. Okay friends, so what is net sown area? An area that is cultivated more than once in agricultural year. So more than once in agricultural year, that means you are using it once or twice in agricultural year. And what is a gross agricultural area? Gross cropped area. So what's a gross cropped area? It's a plus net sown area. That means a little bigger than the net sown area, and in size and in other terms that well. So it is plus net sown area, and a net sown area is the land which is sown more than once in a year. So I hope you're clear with what is a net sown area. So now let's go on to the land use patterns in India. Land use patterns in our country. So land use patterns. So what determines the uses of land? Topography, climate, soil types, as well as the human factors such as population, density, technological capability and cultural traditions. So these all are the determining factors. How can we utilize our land? How can we make use of the land? So these determine whether we can use the land or not. Okay, first going on to the topography. If the topography is good, it's a fertile land, it's it's on a low topography, it's not on a mountain, it's on a plain, then you can cultivate more on it. But if it's on a mountain, then you have to do step cultivation. Then going on to the climate. If the climate of the area is good and favorable for the crops, then it can be more hospitable for cultivation. Then the soil types. Is it alluvial soil, black soil or red soil, which will determine the quality of your crop and the type of crop you can grow in that. So this also determines the use of land. Then human factors such as population. So if the population is more, the area under cultivation would be less, and if the population is less, then the area under cultivation would be more. And technological capability. So if we are harvesting the crops with our own hand, then it would take more of the time. But if we do it with a harvester, it would take less time. So if there is more of the technological capability, then we can produce more with this land. So more of the land would be utilized. Then comes the culture and traditions. If there are good culture and traditions related to this land cultivation and land conservation, then we can utilize and sustain our lands better. So the total geographical area of India, as you know, is 3.28 million square meters. 8 million square kilometers. So this is the area of India, and so it's a very big country. So it becomes very essential for us to use every nook and hook of this land for our purposes, but not for our greed, for our need, with sustainable development, and to leave something for the coming generations. Put more area under forests, because forests rejuvenate. Okay, so this is our land utilization in India. Then now we're gonna come in land degradation and land conservation. So the main problem here in the land utilization of the country is that we are bringing more and more area under concrete forests. We are not leaving anything for the pasture area, for the cultivation area, for the forest area, and for the other uses area. The wasteland is also getting tremendously used. That's good, but the cultivational land and even the pasture land is getting under the concrete forest and the greed of this man. So it's leading to serious problems like land degradation. We are just cutting on forests and we are not thinking anything, and we are using this land without any sustainability, and so we will lose our lands if we do like this. So land degradation is happening because of our land utilization patterns in India. Then we're going to go on to the next topic, that is land degradation and conservation. You can actually very easily make a table. What are the ways by which land gets degraded and what will be its solution? So overgrazing. The solution for overgrazing is that wise grazing of cattle and many other factors. So you can just make a table like this. How are we degrading the land and how can we conserve it? So let's go on to the book part and read what's written in our book. So we shared a land with the past generations and will have to do so with the future generations too. So the past generations were so kind enough to let the land for us, and so we should be kind enough to let the land for the future generation. This is our duty. This is our moral responsibility as we are using the land of our ancestors. 95% of our basic needs for food, shelter and clothing are obtained from land. The clothing, the cotton comes from land. The food, the pulses come from land. And many other things like housing. For housing, the wood comes from land. So, land is very important. Without land, we cannot survive. Then human activities have not only brought about degradation of land, but also aggravated the pace of natural forces to cause damage to land. So the human activities that we are doing is not only degrading the land, but there are other degrading factors also, like wind blows and the land is degraded. We have fastened that process. For example, if in a desert there is soil erosion, that is land erosion, wind blows. So previously there were trees, they used to hold the soil, and so less land erosion used to take place. But now we have cut that tree, and so what will happen? The air will come and blow off all of the soil. So you see, we have fastened the process of land degradation by the natural forces. At present, there are about 130 million hectares of degraded land in India. So 130 million hectares is a lot. Approximately 28% of it belongs to the category of forest degraded area. So it's a very sad fact to hear this. And 56% of it is water eroded area, and the rest is affected by saline and alkaline deposits. So you see, this is telling us that how much of our land is, how it's degraded, and by what type of a factor it's degraded, and the percentage of that. Then comes some human activities like deforestation, as I already told you, and overgrazing, mining and quarrying to have contributed significantly to the land degradation. So overgrazing. First let me erase this. I hope that you have understood this. So first is overgrazing. You already know the cattle would graze more of the grass would go ahead and the land would be degraded. Then deforestation. Wind would blow the land away with it. The water would erode the land. So this would happen if we are going to continue with our deforestation. Then mining the land. Then also it can be eroded easily. Quarrying the land. We are recklessly cutting the trees and not thinking about anything, just extracting the resources like, for our greed. We are very greedy people. So we have to stop this. We have to go with our need, not with our greed. So the next come is that mining sites are abandoned after excavation work is complete, leaving deep scars and traces of overburdening. So they just dig. Then after digging, they have extracted the resources. Then they have no duty to fill that deep pit that they have created. So for example, you have just dig this area. So you have some resource was lying here, you extracted that resource. Then it's your responsibility to fill this hole back. But what they do? They just leave it like that with deep scars and deep pits there. So it's going to be bad for the land. There's going to be land degradation in that case. So in states like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Orissa, deforestation due to mining have caused several land degradation. So they deforest the land so that they can mine off the land. So this is adversely affecting our states. Then comes in states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, overgrazing is one of the main reasons for land degradation. So if there would be overgrazing, that means they are going to pick up more of the grass and eat it. And so that they can give more of the milk. So farmers are greedy for the milk. They want the cattle to eat more and more, overgrazing them, degrading the land. So this is also adversely affecting the states of India and leading to land degradation in these states. Then next comes that in states like Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, over irrigation is responsible for land degradation. For example, if a farmer is just cultivating a land, what he'll do, I am very sleepy, I have worked a lot, now let me just on the irrigation machine. Then he'll sleep, he'll have a very good sleep. In that time all of the humus and the top layer of the soil would be eroded. And next thing what we're gonna do, we're gonna give more of the water to our crops so that we can have big crops. Instead of that, the land is degraded, the humus is all taken away. So this is also one of the reasons for adverse degradation of land in our India. And then logging leading to increase in salinity and alkalinity to the soil. So there is we are just constructing land, and so more of the salinity and alkalinity is going in, and so as a result our land is degraded. So it's all like that, the mineral processing and all of the over exporting, it's all degrading our land and should be stopped completely. And the reverse of this would cause the conservation of our land. So I think you have understood what is land as a resource, what are the uses of land, land utilization in India, and what I discussed just now. And thank you all for the day. And if you want to know more about this chapter, you gotta visit my next and the last video for this chapter that's gonna complete this chapter, that is soil as a resource. Thank you.